Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel made by BJax. Today I will be showing you how to make this adorable and fun baby doll lingerie top. Yes, you can make your own lingerie for less than $10. Crazy, but it's just in time for Valentine's Day. It works up super fast and you can make it in any length that you'd like. Here's a quick look at all the materials I used to make this project. I bought 2 skeins of yarn, but I only ended up using one of them to make this top, so I made a pair of matching shorts with the other skein. Also, this project is made based on your measurements, so you'll need a tape measure for this one. To get started, grab your yarn and create a slip knot. For the size small, I'm going to chain 13, however, if you're looking to make a different size, then I have the recommended chain links posted here. After you've made your foundation chain, single crochet into the second chain from the hook and continue single crocheting all the way down, but stop before you reach your last chain. I've approached my last chain, and here I will be inserting 3 single crochet all into that same chain space. Make sure you have your stitch marker handy because we're going to start using it now. So here are the 3 stitches I just left. We're going to insert our stitch marker into the middle of those 3. Next, continue single crocheting down the opposite side of your foundation chain while also crocheting over that tail. After you have finished, check and make sure you have the same amount of stitches on both sides of your stitch marker. For this size small, I have 12 stitches on both sides. To begin our next row, chain 1, turn your work, and insert a single crochet into that very first stitch. Continue single crocheting all along the side until you reach your stitch marker. Once you reach your stitch marker, go ahead and remove it and insert 3 single crochet all into that same stitch. You're going to repeat this process every time you encounter your stitch marker. Don't forget to replace it back into the middle stitch every time. Continue single crocheting along the opposite side until you reach the end. That completes our second row of single crochet, so just like normal for all of our rows, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and insert a single crochet into the very first stitch. I'm going to speed up the footage for this third row because all of the steps are the same for every row of single crochet. For the size small, I'm going to do 8 rows of single crochet total, so I have 5 more left to do after this one. If you're looking to make a different bra cup size, then I have the recommended row counts for every size posted here. And just a heads up though, this is supposed to look super small right now because we still have to add the detailed edging, which is going to add an extra inch to both sides of the bra cup. So keep that in mind and I'll meet you once I've finished all my rows of single crochet. I just finished my 8 rows of single crochet and I have 19 stitches on both sides of my stitch marker, so everything's even. To get started on the detailed edging, chain 4, turn your work, and we're going to insert a double crochet into the 3rd stitch. Next, chain 1, skip the next space and double crochet into the space after that. You're going to repeat this all the way along the side until you reach your stitch marker. So right now I'm leaving a double crochet into the stitch right before my stitch marker. Next, go ahead and remove that stitch marker, chain 1, and insert a double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet all into that same space. Make sure you replace your stitch marker into that chain 1 space you just made. Next, to make this symmetrical, chain 1 and double crochet into the very next stitch. Don't skip one yet. This should make sure that both sides look even. And now we can resume our normal pattern by chaining 1, skipping the next space, and leaving a double crochet. Do this all the way down until you reach the end. Here's what your work should be looking like at this point. For our next row, we're just going to do single crochet. So chain 1, turn your work, and insert 1 single crochet into that very first stitch. Next, single crochet into the chain space, single crochet into the next stitch, and continue this all the way along this side until you reach your stitch marker. And just like normal, we're going to leave 3 single crochet where the stitch marker space is. When you reach your last chain space, make sure you leave 2 single crochet in that same space to finish off your row. Here's what your work should be looking like at this point, and it definitely wouldn't hurt to do a quick stitch check to make sure that they're the same on both sides. Next, we're going to do another row of double crochet chain spaces. So again, chain up 4, turn your work, and we're going to insert a double crochet into the 3rd stitch, which should also align with the double crochet from the previous row. Chain 1, skip the next space, and double crochet into the space after that. Continue this pattern all the way along the side until you reach your stitch marker. I've reached the tip of my bra cup, and as you can see, I have a space between my last stitch and my middle stitch, so I'm just going to chain 1, skip right over it, and leave a double crochet, chain, and another double crochet all into that same space. Don't forget to replace your stitch marker into that chain 1 space you just made. Next, to make this symmetrical, I'm going to chain 1, skip the next space, and double crochet into the space after that. All of my double crochets should still continue aligning with the double crochets from the previous row. Alright, here's what your work should look like at this point. All we have left to do is one more row, which has picot stitches and our strap included. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So chain 1, turn your work, single crochet into the very first stitch, single crochet into the chain space, and then again into the next stitch. So we just left 3 single crochet, and now we're going to leave a picot. So chain up 3, and we're going to insert a hook into the front of these 2 loops. So grab your yarn, we're going to pull it through all 3 of these loops now. And that's picot. So repeat this all the way along the side. So leave 3 single crochet, and on the 3rd stitch, leave a picot. Once you reach the tip of your bra cup where your stitch marker is, go ahead and remove it and leave 1 single crochet where that chain space is. Next, I'm going to chain 95 for the strap. After you've chained 95, go ahead and slip stitch into the 2nd chain from the hook and continue slip stitching all the way down your chain until you reach your bra cup. If you really hate slip stitching, then you can leave single crochets instead, or if you prefer wider straps, then you can leave single crochets, so that is definitely optional. Alright, I just slip stitched down my entire chain, and now I'm back at my bra cup, so I'm going to leave 1 more single crochet right into that same chain space where we left off at. So since I left 2 single crochet after my picot stitch on the first side, I'm going to leave 2 single crochet on this side and leave a picot stitch on that second one. Now that both sides are symmetrical, we're back to business as usual, so single crochet 3 times, and on the 3rd stitch leave your picot and do this all the way down until you reach the end. And again, don't forget to leave 2 single crochet into that very last chain space. And now you have finished your first bra cup, so go ahead and chain 1, pull your yarn through, and we're going to snip that off real quick. Whenever you make your second bra cup, you are not going to cut the yarn off, so heads up, do not cut your yarn. After you have made both bra cups, since this top wraps around your back, we need to determine the length between cup 1 and cup 2, so we have a super simple math equation to help figure that out. So first, take one of your bra cups and your measuring tape and measure the base of the bra cup where it is the widest at the bottom and give it a comfortable stretch. Mine measures out to be about 8 inches wide. Next, we need our underbust measurements, so I will demonstrate how to do that here. Make sure you're not pulling too tightly so that you get your truest measurements. Mine are showing about 30 inches here. Now all you're going to do for this equation is take your underbust width, mine was 30. You're going to subtract the width of your bra cups. So one of my bra cups was 8 inches, so together that's 16 inches. So I have to subtract 16 from 30, and I have 14 inches here. So here is how long my chain has to be from cup A to cup B. So grab your bra cup with the yarn that isn't cut off and make a chain the length of the chain needed to wrap around your body. I just got my chain to measure out to 14 inches long now. Next, we need to attach this chain to our other bra cup, so go ahead and grab it. We're going to insert our hook into the very last stitch that we made. So go ahead and pull your yarn through, and we're going to leave a single crochet there. Next, continue single crocheting all along the bottom. So we're going to insert 2 single crochet into this chain space. Make sure that you're crocheting over that tail as well. Single crochet into the single crochet row, and then again 2 single crochet into the chain space, and continue this all along the bottom until you reach the end. After you've left 2 single crochet into that last chain space, make sure that you leave 1 single crochet on this very end right here on the side, and that's how you complete this row. If you want, you can double check right here and wrap it around your body and see if both of the bra cups touch each other, and if they do, that's great. You can see if it's too loose or not. But next, we're going to leave single crochets all along the side with a few increases. So chain 1 for our next row, and we're going to leave 2 single crochet into this very first stitch. Now I also want to start using my stitch marker here on the body because I get a little confused when I'm beginning and ending some of my rows, so I always put a stitch marker at the very first and last stitch of every row. Next, single crochet into the next 5 stitches, and on the 6th stitch we're going to do an increase. This is going to give our top some ruffles. If you prefer to have a little bit more ruffles to your top, then I would do an increase on every 3rd single crochet instead of every 6th. But whichever you prefer, continue doing this pattern all the way down until you reach the end of the other bra cup. I've just single crocheted all the way down to my 2nd bra cup. Here's what my work looks like so far, and you can even see those little nodes where I did the increases. That's okay. For our next row, chain up 3, turn your work over, and we're going to leave a double crochet into the 2nd stitch here. So just like I mentioned previously, I like to leave my stitch markers here. That chain 3 counts as a double crochet, so I'm going to insert my stitch marker into that chain 3 space. Next, double crochet into the next space, so that counts as our first 3 double crochets. Next, chain 1, skip the next space, and leave a double crochet into the space after that. Leave 2 more double crochet, and we're going to repeat. Chain 1, skip the next space, double crochet into the next 3 spaces. Do this all the way down until you reach the end of your other bra cup. I've reached the end of this row, and I'm going to leave about 4 double crochets to finish off this row. That includes me leaving a double crochet into this chain 3 space because that one counted as a double crochet. And here's what your work should be looking like at this point. Next, chain 1, turn your work over, single crochet into that very first stitch, and I'm going to leave my stitch marker there so that I don't forget where my row ends whenever I come back to it. Next, I'm going to chain 5, skip the next 3 stitches and single crochet into that chain space. Here's what my work looks like. Again, chain 5, skip the next 3 spaces, single crochet into that chain space. Repeat this all the way down until you reach the end. I'm reaching the end of this row, and regardless of how many stitches I have left, I'm still going to chain 5 and single crochet into the very last stitch where my stitch marker is. And here's what my work looks like so far. To begin our next row, we actually need to chain 5. I know I just chained 1, but chain 5 and turn your work. Then single crochet into the very first chain 5 space of that row. I'm going to leave a stitch marker right here in the middle of that chain 5 space because that's a little half shell. But again, chain 5, single crochet into the next chain 5 space, and do this about 2 more times. So I just made 3 of those little chain 5 shells with this little half one in the beginning. Next, I'm going to start my fan. So leave 7 double crochet into the next chain 5 space. After you've left 7 double crochet, we're going to single crochet into the next chain 5 space. That connects our fan from one chain 5 space to the next. Chain 5 again, single crochet into the next chain 5 space, and do this 2 more times. And then we're going to repeat. So I just left 3 of those chain 5 spaces, and then I'm going to double crochet 7 times into the next space. You're going to repeat this pattern all the way down until you reach the end. So chain 5 into the next 3 spaces, 7 double crochet into the next. Repeat. So I've reached the end of this row. I just left those 3 chain 5 spaces. I'm almost towards the end, and this is what my work looks like so far. But I don't have enough room to leave another fan here at the end. So what I need to do to end this row, I'm going to chain 5, single crochet into this chain 5 space, and then I need to leave a half shell. So I'm going to chain 3 and double crochet where my stitch marker is. For our next row, chain 1, turn your work, and single crochet into that very first stitch. Don't forget to replace your stitch marker in that very first stitch. Chain 5 and single crochet into the next chain 5 space. I'm going to repeat this about 3 more times until I reach the chain 5 space before my fan. Once you reach your 7 double crochet, which is your fan stitch, you're going to chain 1 and double crochet into every stitch. So there's 1 double crochet, chain 1, my second double crochet, chain 1, third, chain 1, 4th, chain 1, 5th double crochet, chain 1, 6th double crochet, chain 1, and now my 7th double crochet. Make sure you chain 1 at the end as well, and single crochet into the next chain 5 space. This is what your fan should look like once you've finished that. Next, we're going to chain 5, single crochet into the next chain 5 space. Repeat that one more time. And again, repeat what you did on the first fan. So chain 1, double crochet into the first stitch, chain 1, double crochet into the second stitch, and repeat this all the way down your fan until you have 7 double crochets. Chain 1 at the very end and single crochet into the next chain 5 space. Repeat this all the way down until you reach the end. I'm towards the end of this row, and since the previous row ended with a half shell, I'm going to end this row with a full shell. So chain 5 and single crochet into that half shell space. And this is what your work should be looking like at this point. Great news, our next 3 rows are going to be nothing but chains. To begin our next row, chain 5, turn your work, and since the previous row ended with a full shell, we're going to begin with the half shell. So single crochet into the very first chain 5 space, insert your stitch marker into the middle of that half shell space, chain 5, single crochet into the next chain 5 space, and I'm going to repeat that one more time. Next, we need to determine where we're going to put our chain 5 spaces on the fan. As you remember, there are 7 double crochet on each fan. We're going to single crochet into the 2nd, 4th, and the 6th stitch on every fan. So I'm going to demonstrate that now. So chain 5, skip the first double crochet and single crochet on top of the 2nd double crochet of that fan. Chain 5 again, skip the next double crochet, single crochet into the one after that, which is the 4th stitch. Chain 5 again, skip the next double crochet, single crochet into the next one after that, which is the 6th stitch. This is what your work should look like at this point. Finally, chain 5 again, and single crochet into the next chain 5 space. I'll demonstrate this one more time. So chain 5, single crochet into the next chain 5 space. I'm going to single crochet into the 2nd, 4th, and 6th stitch. Continue this pattern all the way down until you reach the end. I'm towards the end of my row, and just like normal, since the previous row ended with a full shell, I'm going to end with a half shell. So chain 3, double crochet into that very last stitch where your stitch marker is. The next 2 rows should be pretty easy since you see where all the chain spaces are at now. We don't have to figure out where to put our single crochets at all. So chain 1, single crochet into the first stitch, leave your stitch marker, make a full shell, which is a chain 5, and do this all the way along the bottom until you reach the end. I'm finishing up this row of chains, and since the previous row ended with a half shell, I'm ending with a full shell. Now we have one more row of chains left to do. So chain up 5, turn your work over, and single crochet into the first chain 5 space, and finish this row of chains until you reach the end. I'm finishing up this row with a half shell. For our next row, we're going to do fans again, but instead of having the fans stacked directly on top of each other, I want them to be staggered out evenly between each other. So we need to find where a good middle point is to leave our fans for this row. We left 3 chain 5 shells in between each fan, so let's find that middle one and follow it upwards. I'm going to temporarily place my stitch marker here as a quick visual, but that helps me know that I have enough space to leave another fan sooner than that, so I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side, finding out where that middle point would be, and I'm going to move that stitch marker over here. So chain 1, turn your work over, and we're going to single crochet into that very first stitch. Chain 5, single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 5 again. I know I just accidentally chained 3, but we're gonna ignore that I just messed that up. You don't even notice that error at the end. Anyways, my next stitch has the stitch marker in it, so I'm gonna put that back where it belongs, and I'm going to leave my 7 double crochet, which is my fan stitch, into the next chain 5 space. And after this, we're back to business as usual. We're going to do the same exact thing that we did on row 4 and repeat. So after your 7 double crochet, single crochet into the next chain 5 space, chain 5, single crochet into the next chain 5 space, repeat that 2 more times, then leave your 7 double crochet into the next chain 5 space after that. I'm towards the end of my row here. I just left 3 of my chain 5 spaces, and this is cutting it a little close for me usually, but I think I have enough room for one more fan here at the end. So I'm leaving my 7 double crochet here. Next, I'm single crocheting into the next chain 5 space. And since the previous row ended with a half shell, I'm going to end with a full shell. So chain 5 and single crochet into that last space. And here's what my work looks like so far. They are literally perfectly staggered out evenly between each other. And I love the way that this looks, so I'm going to keep going. This next row is going to be just like row 5, so I'm going to do a half shell by chaining 5, turning my work, and single crocheting into the very first chain 5 space. Making sure that I place my stitch marker into the middle of that half shell. Next, I'm going to chain 1, double crochet into the first stitch, chain 1, double crochet into the second, chain 1 into the third, again all the way down, all 7 of these double crochets per fan, and don't forget to chain 1 at the very end and single crochet into the next chain 5 space. Chain 5 again, single crochet into the next chain 5 space, chain 5 again, single crochet into the next chain 5 space, and repeat. Right now I am finishing up this row with a half shell. This is what my work looks like so far. And now the next 3 rows are going to be nothing but chains. So chain 1, single crochet into the very first stitch, place your stitch marker there. Chain 5, single crochet into the next chain 5 space. As you remember, we have 7 double crochet in this fan. We're going to single crochet into the 2nd, 4th, and 6th stitch. So chain 5, skip the first double crochet, single crochet into the 2nd stitch, chain 5, skip the next double crochet, single crochet into that 4th stitch, chain 5, skip the next double crochet, and single crochet into that 6th stitch, chain 5, single crochet into the next chain 5 space. Chain 5, single crochet into the next chain 5 space, and then repeat all the way down until you reach the end. Since the rest of this top is a repeat of rows 4 through 13, I'm going to do the rest of this off camera, but I will give you an update after I finish each row. I just finished my first row of chains. This is what it looks like once I was done. For the next row, again, chains. That's what it looked like when it was done. And for the third row of chains, this is what it looks like whenever it was done. The next row is a repeat of row 4, where we started our first row of fans. This is what it looked like whenever I was finished. As you can see, it aligns with row 4. The next row is a repeat of row 5, which is the extended fan. This is what it looked like when it was finished. And the next 3 rows are chains only. After your 3 rows of chains, you're going to repeat row 9. This is what it looked like when I was finished. The next row is a repeat of row 10, and after that, 3 rows of chains. After your 3 rows of chains, go ahead and repeat rows 4 and 5 again. This is what it looked like whenever I was finished. Now, this is a good stopping point if you want to go for the cropped baby doll style. I've already made a cropped version, so I'm going to keep going for about another 10 rows. You can keep going too if you want yours to be longer. Just make sure that the last row you end on is this extended fan row like you see here. Do not end on a chain row because we're going to build off of our last fan for a super pretty detailed edging. Alright, I have made it to row 35. I can barely fit this thing on my desk and in the frame, so sorry about that, but yeah, this thing is long. I really like how she looks, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on this detail edging. So I'm going to start with a half shell by chaining 5, turning my work over, and single crocheting into the very first chain 5 space. Next I'm going to chain 5, single crochet into the next chain 5 space, and repeat that one more time. I've approached my fan, and what I'm going to do here is chain 1 and leave 2 double crochet on top of the first double crochet stitch of this fan. Chain 1, 2 double crochet on the next stitch. Repeat this all the way down your fan for all 7 double crochet stitches. You should end up with 14 double crochets total. After your 14th double crochet, make sure you chained 1 and then single crochet into the next chain 5 space. After that, chain 5, single crochet into the next chain 5 space, and then repeat. Chain 1, 2 double crochet into the first stitch, chain 1, 2 double crochet into the second stitch. Repeat this all the way down your fan for 14 double crochets total. This is what your work should be looking like once you're finished, and we only have 2 more rows left to go. So chain 1 and single crochet into the very first stitch, replace your stitch marker, do your chain 5s until you approach your fan stitch. I've approached my fan stitch, and what we're going to do for this row is chain 1, and I'm going to insert my hook in between these 2 double crochets and leave a double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet all into the same space, which makes a V-stitch. Chain 1 again and repeat. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in between those 2 double crochet clusters from the previous row. Do this all along the fan until you reach the opposite side, so you should end up having 7 V-stitches total. This is how your fan should look like so far. After your 7th V-stitch, chain 1, single crochet into the next chain 5 space. Next, you're going to repeat exactly what you did for the last fan, so chain 1 and leave a V-stitch into every double crochet cluster, making sure that you have 7 V-stitches per fan. This is what your work should be looking like at this point. We only have one more row left to go. To begin our last row, I'm going to begin with a picot stitch, so I'm chaining up 3. I'm turning my work. I'm going to insert my hook at the bottom of this chain to pull my yarn through. And there's my first picot stitch. Next, I'm going to single crochet right there at the beginning, and then single crochet 3 times into this chain 5 space. On the 3rd single crochet, I'm going to leave another picot. After that, I'm going to single crochet 2 more times in the same chain 5 space. Next, single crochet into the single crochet after that. And there you go. This is what I'm kind of doing with these extra chain 5 spaces. So I'm just leaving 5 single crochet into each one with the picot in the middle, just to give these little chain 5 spaces some detail. Okay, I've reached my fan stitch, so I'm going to single crochet into the chain space, single crochet on top of that double crochet, single crochet again into the next chain space, which is that V-stitch, and now I'm going to leave a picot stitch there. That's kind of my goal for this row, is I'm just leaving picot stitches on top of all of the V-stitches, and I'm single crocheting into every double crochet and chain space all along the bottom. So continue doing this pattern until you reach the opposite side. After you've left your 7th picot stitch, don't forget to single crochet into that last double crochet and then single crochet again into that chain space. And now I'm gonna keep single crocheting until I make my way to my next V-stitch on the next fan. I'm towards the end of my last row, and all I'm doing is leaving 5 single crochet into all of these chain 5 spaces and a picot in the middle of them so that I can give these chain 5 spaces some detailing, and I'm doing that all the way until I reach the very end. Once you reach the end, chain 1 and cut that yarn off and you're done, and you only have 1 tail to weave in out of this entire project. Like, look at that. That's amazing. I'm so happy with how this pattern turned out. Y'all have been asking for it for so long, and I've been so hesitant on even making a tutorial on this because it's a made-to-measure tutorial, and I don't know, the uncertainty with measurements always like baffles me, but I feel confident about this one. I am going to weave the tail in off camera, but I'll let you know where I'll weave it in through. I'm just going to insert my needle down here underneath these single crochets and go back and forth a few times and snip it off. Next, make a chain of 200. This is going to wrap around and tie up underneath your underbust area. You can make the chain shorter or longer if you prefer, but I personally like 200. Also, I don't cut off my tails yet because I use those tails with my tapestry needle for me to weave the strap in and out of these spaces up here at the top that we made. So go ahead and do that with yours. After you're done weaving in that strap, she's done. Just tie your knots on the ends of the strap and cut off the tails, and it's time to lace this thing up and try her on. Are you excited? I'm excited for you. I want you to love this as much as I do. I want you to feel good wearing this. Also, real quick, just to let you know, whenever you put this on, you're going to want to insert the straps and like lace them up into the bra cups like opposite from each other, like you see what I'm doing here. This is after you try it on. This is going to help you keep it tied together securely so it's not going to come apart or anything while you're wearing it. Look at how cute it is. I cannot believe I made this. I can't believe it. I did not make this. Did I just make this? I did not just record a whole ass tutorial teaching people how to make this. This is too cute. Like, look at me wearing this. You can tell I'm proud. Look at how proud I am. I got my whole room and lighting situation set up for this. Look at me showing off, girl. I'm showing out. Anyways, I hope you guys love it. I would love to see what y'all made. Here are all of my handles. Tag me any photos that you post online. If you post any, I would love to see it and I share them to my story. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.